115 PAGE. Reason 95. The various demigods of Egypt were of the lineage of ancient Atlantis. Other deities such as the African bees became part of the pantheism due to the power accredited to him by worshippers in Africa. Egypt absorbed all the powerful deities throughout the land, and thus the people were wholly dependent upon serving and caring for the gods, who often manifested as the royal families. Generally they were trained in techniques of mental power, then given a rod to intensify those powers. To the people they had the power of gods. Everything that is living first examines what it was before, so it knows what to become next, and this can be seen even with microscopic life forms. This means that if they tell us lies about what happened in the history of this world, as a race we face not only heavy mental alteration but also, 116 PAGE. Possible extinction. We are not continuing on our true cycle as I explained above about descending. Real zodiac does give a pretty accurate layout of your character, but we have the ability to change our ways permanently, thus altering our DNA. This is the marvel of the human race. Considering how long this charade of playing God has been going on, this may be the first time, at least in this segment, that such knowledge of the inner workings of our society has been placed in our hands. Not to mention, this is probably the first time a mass of people are at a comprehension level to at least grasp what is happening. In the history of man, the masses have been powerless with little intellect. The human mind, which I mentioned before, is more like a wheel turning. When we get set into habits, it creates a groove in the brain. Deeper grooves are habits that have been practiced for longer periods. This is where terms like stuck in a cycle, or getting into the groove of things come from, since a cycle can also be looked at as a wheel. It has been also observed that it takes 22 days to make or break a habit, good or bad, which is the effect of allowing the grooves to flatten back out. So the human mind becomes a record with grooves playing oftentimes the same vibrational song every day. The first thing you realize during astral travel is that you are not the body. You are more like the alien on the movie Men in Black, that is very small but powerful, sitting in the operations seat of a giant body, something like an organic Montauk chair. The other thing you will notice when you look down upon your body is that obviously your memory and senses are not contained in your body because you are still using them. This is one secret of obtaining higher character, even if you have not astral traveled before. Knowing that you are not the body releases you from the many expectancies of normal life and gives you another framework, the soul, to build upon. When you have dreams, if you notice the sheer detail that is involved in the environment, you realize that we are a lot more than they are letting on about. We are capable of doing amazing things. There is even a part in our mouth that makes 3 different types of saliva for different situations. It becomes obvious that we are not in accord with the standard parts we have been fashioned with bells and whistles that we have not even explored. This knowledge of enhancing the body has been held selfishly by the elite alchemist, but now we are hacking Morpheus, and in a moment he will tell us everything. Most are completely unconscious of who they were in former lives. Sometimes we catch glimpses of it in dreams. Often smells and sounds remind us of something that we remember but cannot wholly identify. The Sacred Order of the Marys in fact had unlocked the secret of certain essential oils that had the ability to regress anyone smelling them into memories of their past. The loss of collective life memory has everything to do with how strong your spirit is when it departs from this world. We are living in a time where if you look deep enough you can find most of this information. This is all we need and possibly all we will get. I see it as useless to keep coming into lives in which we have no full knowledge of our previous experiences. The best advice I can give the reader is to begin to work on growing your spirit, which we will talk about as we go along. 117 PAGE. Symbols. The elite communicate in symbols and designs which are far more powerful than words. These markings are embedded in our consciousness and serve as triggers for various emotions and concepts. I will take this time to tell you that you should not become a warrior when you begin to discover what is going on and anger or vengeance moves you to combat it directly. You should always keep your weapons in your mind and not in your hand. Warrior also means a person who worries warrior so much once they figure out how much strength and cunning the other side possesses that they actually send energy to the negative forces when they become overwhelmed and behave foolishly. Remember, what we face as a society is something that we all must confront at some point. One person cannot fix this world on their own, but each person can do their part in getting out information of the truth. This way those who are still confused can make up their mind as to which side truly resonates with them, so they can go about it fully and not half-heartedly. The whole construct of this book is not to down any religion, race or belief system. It should be seen as a detailed observation and not a judgment. In the book of Revelations it says, "How I wish you were hot or cold, but you are lukewarm, and I shall vomit you out of my mouth." This means that individuals should not straddle the fence. Whatever they are going to be, they should get on with it. This whole activity of truth-seeking does wonders for our complete growth, so it should be looked at as such. Everything that you have experienced will all come to your aid one way or another when you have purpose. Let everything you do have purpose. With this information you now have a chance at saving yourself and others. The last thing you want to do is become so scared you no longer want to know anymore. In the unknown you can be found because you have not yet discovered your true self, obviously because you are not even flying or at least floating yet. I give this pointer very sternly. Fear is indeed the mind controller. You are stopped at times from learning anything more because of the internal feeling of death and the lies about what really happens after death. Many people hold on to their religious preferences because they feel it will save them in the end, even though they break most of the rules of the religion. It would suffice to know that when you die you go to the place corresponding to your mentality or frequency, hence the term judgment or a judging of the mental. Society has been trained to love lure and ceremony, thus the preacher with a fiery sermon gets more attention than the sometimes boring metaphysic who is explaining how the body can really work the miracle they are so busy ranting about to make it seem like such a big deal. Individuals will begin to need their powers in order to survive. That is the pressure placed upon us in the end of this segment, evolve or face extinction. Once the mental portal is reopened and the person becomes open-minded again, most of the instructions, activations, and experiences will happen during sleep. If you, 118 PAGE, were completely transported from this world never to return, it would take place in your sleep. It is unclear what happens to your body here. Some say it continues as if it's you and behaves just like you through residual memories, action and reaction. People never know you are really gone. In Egypt, where much of this is amplified, we find the cult of Isis. Many believe with the masculinity of the pharaohs the women played only roles as normal queens called by them, farts. In all actuality the Egyptian empire functioned as a trinity and the female part of the trinity became absorbed under Isis. To maintain it as a trinity, all the other gods and goddesses were summed up under the main Ennead. Clearly Osiris, Horus and Isis make up the Egyptian trinity. Sin, Shamash, and Ishtar make up the Babylonian. Isis represented Nin-Hursag, Ninella, Inanna, Ishtar, Mat, Mer, Mary, Mut, Nephthys, Hathor, Nut, Diana, Asteroth, Astarte, Aphrodite, Athena, Tuat, Bast, Usertesen, Ida, Mylitta, Baalath, Anahita, Ashur, Azif, Kodesh, Sophia, Sothis, Sode, Shekinah, Magdalena, Europa, Ganymede and many others. This became possible because it was the so-called goddess female energy that equated to the enlightened portion of spiritual trainings, so when an initiate came in contact with the actual spirit of the religion it often personified itself in one of these goddesses who all remained under the same umbrella. This is why even to this day Isis under many forms is worshipped heavily. Our Statue of Liberty is a rendition of Isis. Her main sign is $, which is the word Isis compressed into one symbol. Some of the countries of their origin are Assyrian Ishtar, Phoenician Ashtoreth Astarte, Syrian Atargatis Turkito, Babylonian Belit Mylitta, Arabian Ilit Alalut. Again their home is the asteroid Venus, Sirius, and the Pleiades. Their species seems to be completely foreign, hiding under the guise of illuminating warrior goddesses. In the ancient text it says a fragment landed in the river Euphrates shaped like an egg. Somehow those who interacted with this egg became infused and infected with